Welcome to Outspoken, where we dive deep into the topics and intersection of technology, money, business, and passion. I'm your host, Shayna Cosgrove.
I do think making national security careers more accessible in disparate locations is going to be advantageous. Don't feel like you have to work double time, because then they're just getting twice the work out of you for the same pay. But work, show up, let the haters hate. I am grateful that I have worked in a very male-dominated traditional industry as a very colorful, feminine female, and I have felt empowered to do that and felt like it has not negatively impacted my career opportunities.
At Nyla Technology Solutions, we believe America's warfighters deserve the absolute best technology advantage on the battlefield. We are an AI engineering company focused on helping the Department of War move faster, think smarter, and achieve true information dominance. Our team builds mission-ready artificial intelligence, advanced data platforms, and decision advantage capabilities that help leaders see clearly and act decisively. In a world where the speed of information can determine victory, Nyla is committed to delivering strength through innovation, ensuring our nation stays secure, competitive, and ready for whatever comes next. Nyla Technology Solutions is an SBA-certified 8A, woman-owned small business. Our contract vehicles include GSA Mass, 8A Stars 3, and MDA Shield. For more information, partnering opportunities, or the latest job openings, please check out our website, www.nyla.io, or email us at hello@nyla.io.
I think we'll just have fun.
Awesome. Have you done podcasts before?
Yes, it's easy when I'm the guest. I'm used to being the person that's coming with the questions. You have the hard job.
A lot of podcasts, right?
Yes, we have one on Federal News Network that airs every other week, and then the Clearance Jobs podcast.
Wait, you're the host of both?
The Cleared Class one is primarily Katie and Phoebe at this point, so I don't do many of those. We rerun all the Federal News Network ones on there. My aim is to do the Federal News Network ones every 2 weeks. Sometimes they get behind or get a guest. Every other week comes fast. Brian Drake and I did one for INSA, a 6-week run. So those are airing all the time. Those are easy too, because Brian did all the questions. Thank goodness.
Tell me about the Federal News one and the Clearance Jobs. What's the Clearance Jobs topic and focus?
Cleared Cast, it started out as just clearance jobs content. We'll have folks talk about the security clearance process. Now it'll be anything. So a lot of conversations with recruiters, workplace stuff, government stuff. The Federal News Network one, because it's a federal news audience, the title is Security Clearance Insecurity. We have a B-side that we do with a security clearance attorney each episode, talking about some random security, trying to hold multiple jobs with a security clearance, dual citizenship, why my girlfriend can't smoke weed, random questions that we get. And then the A side, ideally, it's government folks, but I'm trying to get government people to speak, especially over the past year, has been harder. That's also become who knows who we're going to talk to? Somebody who seems cool and knows things about federal. So you should be on the Federal News Network show sometime.
It's been quite the year with everything going on.
That's what it's been for clearance jobs. It's tough, right? I feel like there's still folks out there. I talked to INSA, and it seems like the INSA events, people are firing, right? But that's a business development crowd. The folks who want to build the business, still keeping things running. But for our side on the recruiting, it's just a different market. A lot of contracts being canceled and things like that. The recruiting market has definitely shifted. A lot of employers are hunkering down.
How long have you been with Clearance Jobs?
14 years.
14 years. Yes. One of my favorite things about you is where you're based. Where are you based?
Omaha, Nebraska.
How did you end up at Clearance Jobs from Omaha?
I grew up in Southwest Iowa, so no connection to the defense industry. Working for the federal government or Washington, D.C. would never have been in my career aperture if 9/11 hadn't happened. So it was very much the 9/11 affected, impacted kid. Decided pursuing a career in national security may be of interest. Happened to win a Scholastic Writing Award in 9th grade. And got a trip to DC to go receive the award at the Kennedy Center. Had never been on the East Coast from Iowa before.
What was your paper on?
It was a creative writing. I can't remember. It should have been something that would have shown in highlights. I think it was probably some hazards of drinking while young. It was very much an angsty, what a 9th grader should write for a creative writing assignment. So shocked. that it received any accolades whatsoever. But fortunately, the bar in ninth grade is different. I still am in love with DC. I absolutely love Washington, DC. It's my favorite city in the world, on the planet.
Why?
They can't ruin it for me,
What do
even
you
the
love about it?
politicians. I just love the history. You think about the founding of the country is like right there. If you believe in this magical dream that is a republic democracy for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, you get to see the cornerstones of it in DC. Maybe I should love Philadelphia and New York City. There's something like being in the seat of government. I love that the nations live there, people from everywhere, right? As a redneck from Iowa, my people are there. If you're like a cosmopolitan who's has a very international background, your people are there. I feel like everybody comes to Washington, D.C. There's something magical about that for an eclectic people collector like me.
Now you go to DC, you're in ninth grade.
Yep.
Tell me more. So you love it. And what happens? You graduate from high school. How do you end up
I
at
love
Stern
it.
Jobs?
I fell in love with the city. The only college I applied to was George Washington University. I decided I was going to go there. It was right in the heart of the city. It had an international affairs major program that I wanted to do. Elliott School overlooks the State Department. They really sell that as you're going to school there. I went there, graduated in 3 years, took a job with the Department of the Army, did a Department of the Army internship, lined up that job because a colonel came to George Washington University and gave a talk about doing public affairs for the Army. And I was like, I want your job. Maybe as a civilian, because nobody tried to recruit me. Nobody told me about ROTC. That would have been a great way to save money. I could have gone all 4 years if I'd known that was an option.
Oh my God. And GW is so expensive.
I had an academic scholarship, but that doesn't cover room and board. Growing up in Iowa, it's cheap to live there. I was an RA my second year, and then I lived off campus my third year just because it was cheaper to live off campus than to live on campus. Then again, players got to hustle. I was like, I can graduate in 3 years, forget study abroad. I got to start paying bills. So then it was on to the next thing.
So you end up at the Army.
Yes. And I still love, I mean, we've all got a favorite flavor of ice cream. I always joke, Department of the Army is mine. I love the Army. My dad was a Vietnam vet. That was pretty much my only military connection. He wasn't even like typical Vietnam vet, did not talk about his service, did not instill in that me, but definitely had that sense of patriotism. He just felt that with the Army. DC is the home of the nations. The Army is the home of everyone, right? And working in the Pentagon and supporting the communication story of the Army, just the eclectic stories we had to tell. Super interesting, super fascinating. I loved working in the Pentagon. Some people hate the Pentagon. If you're married with kids, you hate the Pentagon. I was in my 20s then, right? You go into the building, you never have to leave. Your dry cleaning's there. There was a CVS.
I think having to work on site anywhere where you can't do your job remotely, even a little bit, is harder with children unless you have like amazing support system. Even then, sometimes it's hard. I find most parents either work a 5 to 2 or 6 to 3 shift, and then the other parent works later. It is hard, but yeah, it's a cool, big place.
Yeah. And those connections that I made at the Pentagon, like I still talk to people I work with when I work for the Army. I'm a big believer in like doing a short stint in government, right? We were talking before about how long I've been with clearance jobs, 14 years, this ungodly number for the job hopping DC GovCon culture. But I had a short stint in the military, and I definitely tell folks, if you can give that short government stint, I'd like to think they're making the on and off ramps easier now. You just even see that with I'll optimistically call it the shakeup that we're having right now, right? In government, a net positive for a lot of folks leaving government is there's going to be more opportunities for people to enter in. I hope that young people, entry level, mid-tier, senior folks who've been in industry a long time start to look at the opportunities in government and say, hey, this is a place I can go spend a few years. It's not only a destination for folks who are looking for a civil service retirement pension.
Yeah, like a lifetime of there versus coming in and serving.
Yeah.
And so ... how'd you end up at clearance jobs?
So they found me on Twitter. I quit my job at the Pentagon when I was getting ready to have my first kid. As you mentioned, suddenly the 5-sided palace becomes a lot less optimistic when you're thinking about how you're going to get your kids to childcare and manage a 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. workday. Did not plan to go back to work full time. Clearance jobs found me on my prolific tweets and reached out and said, hey, we have a job. I responded to the first email about the job opportunity when my son was like 4 weeks old. And I was recently like being career nostalgia. I was looking back at that correspondence and like amazed at how coherent my correspondence was. Like, no wonder they wanted to hire me. I It sounded brilliant for as sleep deprived as I was. I advocated very much that I wanted to do consulting, right? That again, another great reason to live in Washington, DC. Anybody can put consultant on a business card and immediately start hustling, but they very much advocated for full-time employment. There is a different shift there, right? If we're going to go ahead and talk about it, there is just this dynamic of being in the family, and Clearance Jobs is definitely a family. So they took me in 14 years ago, have allowed me to build a career there that's been super positive. I was very much a person who fell in love with national service, national security, and having that career focus. Being able to do that at scale with Clearance Jobs has been a really cool mission to be a part of and to see the company grow and expand. As you mentioned before, like new acquisitions, new opportunities for Clearance Jobs. So recently acquired Agile ATS. We're supporting that. Being able to be a part of a company that wants to grow and expand and help the entire career ecosystem has been really a great experience. So glad I responded to that email coherently enough that they wanted to hire me.
What were you prolifically tweeting about?
I don't even use X or whatever they call it anymore. Back in the day, you could write about things. I probably look back now and be super embarrassed about what I was tweeting about, but it used to be the platform of record if you went to an industry conference. And if you went to a conference, you were like following the hashtag. I went to a lot of probably industry conferences at that point in my career. It was a big part of my job for the US Army doing social media engagement. So I was probably going to conferences and tweeting about
this is before LinkedIn was the big one.
This is when LinkedIn was still a place to find a job before it became the Facebook of today. Twitter was like the conference platform.
Did you post pictures then too when you were posting?
Yeah, you had to have some pictures, less of myself. I feel now it is this weird dynamic where you see the difference in engagement. If you post pictures of yourself, you get more engagement. And I like throw up in my mouth a little bit that it takes that. But then you also be like, people like faces. I don't know.
People do like seeing faces, like a real human being.
Yeah.
Are we going to find you in any Reddit subthreads? Am I going to find your name or some alias? Am I going to find you like deep in?
No, Reddit scares me. We have a couple of forums at Clearance Jobs blog, and we have our fedwork.net, a federal forum, because I want to be cool enough for Reddit, but those people actually scare me. A lot of these communities, you have to go in and really invest. I actually wrote an article about why the clearance advice on Reddit is terrible, awful. Like the things people post. Now, every forum has some degree of misinformation or just confusion. I won't call it disinformation because I don't think it's people intentionally. It's just people talking about their own experience, which is not going to be indicative of yours. I find the Reddit threads particularly terrible. I wrote an article about why you should never listen to Reddit, and I got flamed on Reddit for writing that article. I was like, shit, what does this idiot write this AI generated article for Clearance Jobs about why you should be on Reddit? What a loser. I don't know. This is what happens. Reddit serves a purpose. I find it useful for other parts of my life, but again, not for my career, I would say.
So where's the best clearance jobs? Where's the best clearance information?
Oh, clearancejobs.com, obviously. I was like with David Cattler, who was the former DCSA director. He was speaking at a conference and he was talking something about DCSA.mil website. Even I told him second best place to get information about the clearance process next to clearancejobs.com. Now you've opened the door for a shameless plug, right? I wrote a book about the clearance process. Buy the book. Trust Me, Guide to Secrets and Security Clearance, and wrote that very much because I'm a total bibliophile. We share this in common. Like I'm a voracious reader. I'm constantly reading. And I was like, there's no readable book about the clearance process. There are a few written by facility security officers, for the most part, for facility security officers. And I know those folks, so I'm not knocking their tool. It is very helpful. My DMs are filled with young people, for the most part, applying for their first security clearance or trying to get a job in the IC. And they don't understand the vernacular. They don't want a book full of acronyms. They want, I'll say, the girlfriend's guide, right? But dudes can also read it. I didn't make the cover pink despite my desires to do so. I made it teal just so I could be gender inclusive. It's just more of a common everyday guide to the clearance process. Some of the best feedback I've gotten has been folks who are seniors in their career, like 20 years in, like, hey, I read that. It was super helpful. I actually learned some things and you wrote about the process in a way that is useful for me. Then on the flip side, if you're a high school kid, you can pick it up and read it. If the young people read the books anymore, I don't know.
Did you do audio?
I did. It's an audiobook too. Yes.
That's awesome.
Shout out to my cousin Frank, who let me record it in his basement on a Sunday. Start to finish. It was me and a box of chicken biscuits. I cannot leave until this is done.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the personal for a second. You talked about one child. How many children do you have?
I have 4.
4 children and a full-time working mom. How did you end up from DC to Nebraska?
So after our first 2 kids, it was like, this is a lot. I had visions of many children. My mom was actually flying out to watch the kids if I had to go to conferences or events for clearance jobs. To your point, having childcare is so vital if you want to parent, especially in the DC metro. This actually seems silly. I feel like most of the traveling I could do, it would be easier to leave my mom here with the kids and then to fly where I needed to go. So move back. It's an hour away from my parents. I have zero regrets about being close to my parents. During COVID, I felt like a flipping genius. Everything was shut down anyway. And I had my parents close by and my space. Not everybody can do it, but I do think making national security careers more accessible to disparate locations is going to be advantageous because there are people who their families are other places, right? As family dynamics change, you need to be here. If I was not here and didn't have the support of my parents now, I couldn't do any of the things I'm doing in my career. Now, again, a path could have been paved in the DC metro. I still refer to it as my mistress city. I know I love her. She's good for me. I don't know if I should be with her all the time. I'm constantly trying to decide. I love DC, but Omaha is the best place for my kids at this benchmark.
What are their ages?
14, 12, 9, and 7.
You're in the thick of it, man.
I am in the thick of it. Yes. Yes.
That's awesome.
It's a lot.
What tips do you have? Because you travel a lot for your job. How often do you travel?
I only travel like once a month, every 6 weeks for the most part.
Really?
I take those selfies, so it looks like I'm everywhere. I do try to do like buckets of time. Like I look for an anchor. Intelligence and National Security Alliance, one of my favorite associations, the DC Metro. I'll look for an event that they're having. I'll stack it with meetings. So there's a lot of opportunity stacking. I've gotten to the point, my travel is less scrutinized by my company. Love you, clearance jobs. I just recently flew out for something. I was gone 20 hours. So I left. Thank you, members of Congress who have clearly advocated for that opportunity for me. I don't know who it is. There's 2 direct flights from Omaha into DCA. So I have options. I can fly in, go to a meeting or dinner and fly home and only be gone for a night. So that's great. Not for everyone, but players got to hustle.
What tips do you have for parents who have to travel a lot for their job? What's like your top 3 tips?
Unpopular opinion. Some people have to travel. Most of us want to travel. I'm very grateful and lucky for clearance jobs. Like I travel a lot of times because it's my only break. I'm a single solo parent too. So there's no co-parent in this house. It's me with the 4 kids. My mom watches them when I travel for work. I get to stay in a hotel and nobody has to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night or nobody needs anything.
I say no one's touching me.
I can eat a nice
Speaking
dinner.
of which, here come my dogs.
It's delightful. So for me, travel is often a choice that I've made. And it is double work because I have to line up like my kids, your point, they're in the thick of it. My daughters have nutcracker practices. So last time I traveled, it was lining up rides for everything. I have to leave 2 pages of notes.
At least I can talk now. I train my kids to feed themselves as well, feed the dogs, with the expectations of them that they are old enough now to get themselves going.
I think it's a good buffer against helicopter parenting, though. Somebody was criticizing me recently that I expect my kids to make their own lunches. And I was like, that's like a good life skill. I get the 7-year-old can't make everything by themselves, but honestly, he should be able to make a PB&J at this point. That's not like bad. There's a whole like parenting philosophy.
Ham and cheese.
Yeah, love and logic parenting. You give your kids responsibility. You're still there. No fires are going to get set in the house. But it was a proud moment for me. I left my son home once, taking care of the other kids. And somebody put like a plate with foil in it in the microwave. Oh, a tale's old as time, right? So it started to spark in the microwave. He was talking about how like, oh, we almost had a microwave fire and this is how I fix it. This is why you have to give your kids low stakes opportunities. For the record, they're never staying home alone while I travel. Please don't come after me. My mom stays with them or a neighbor stays with them. Giving your kids some level of responsibility. And I love all parents. Whatever family structure you have is fantastic. Like I love it all. For me, this is what I have is single parenting, solo parenting, 4 kids. This is what my kids are going to get. And my kids are going to have a strong female role model, whatever that looks like, to say, hey, we just had to get things done. We're just making it every day and one day at a time. That's the thing too. This is very DC. Again, love you with my whole heart, but people have 3, 5, 10, 20-year plans. God help me. Can I pay my $600 Costco bill today? Yes, I can. I can't 10-year plan this operation. That's just not what I have for me. So for me, travel, all of it, working, How do I do all of it? The Lord gives me one day. I'm living life one day at a time. I
I
worked clearance jobs for 14 years. Maybe I should need to try harder. I don't know, but that's what I got.
want to give a shout out to the Skylight app. It's a digital frame and it shows the kids their chores on it. You can put routines like you're supposed to brush your teeth morning and night, or today's the day you have to bathe. They can see their calendar. They can get rewards for certain chores and they can trade it in for different things. They can see meal planning if I actually put meals on there consistently. And it's a nice little front and center so they always know what their chores are. This is another thing. It's all branding. I tell my son, everyone is attracted to someone who can cook. So I am really investing in him by forcing him to learn to cook and to take care. And everyone's attracted to someone who has a clean room. I'm like, no girl wants to go back to a nasty, dirty bedroom. So I am really teaching you to really get the choice. You're going to have your choice of women out there when you grow up because you'll be cooking and cleaning in addition to all the other wonderful traits you have. But everyone loves somebody who really helps share in the load and keeps a great house.
Yeah, these are just life skills, doing your own laundry, figuring this stuff out. If you're a working parent, I feel like you have to instill your kids in some of that stuff. They just have to.
One of the other things I want to ask you about is you are a very colorful person, literally. Tell me about when that happened and why you decided to just stand out that way.
I was having thoughts about this recently because I get that question more and more. Like, hey, have you always been like this? I love your authenticity. How did you do this? And I like to think that I've just become more authentic because I have reached a point in my career, which I'm blessed to be at, where I can get by with a lot. I'm less worried, am I going to get fired for this? Or what are the negative ramifications? But I for sure have always been like this. You said you're using video, but I found a photo from when I worked at the Army. The hot tip. I'm going to have to pull it out. This is me. I don't know if you can even see it.
Oh my God, that's so cute.
I used to dress up for Halloween every year. Started when I stopped being able to trick or treat. I would do reverse trick or treating. That basket was full of candy. And I was walking around the Pentagon to everybody I knew giving out candy. When I worked there, that was weird. That was a little authentic. That was probably not the normal way.
I don't know. People have a candy jar on their desk. So
the same vibe. I'm always like, hey, you do you, right? Whoever it is. I am grateful that I have worked in a very male dominated traditional industry as a very colorful, feminine female. And I have felt empowered to do that and felt like it has not negatively impacted my career opportunities. Now, everybody's different, right? Like we all have different stories and scenarios in there. I wish I could give people a roadmap to say, hey, this is how you do it. I would just say there were people at the Pentagon who hated me. Some of them very senior women who did not like me. I was literally told one point in my career I needed to put my hair back because it was distracting. I shouldn't have my hair down. I got told to dress different many times. I got told to act different many times. I got told the only reason that I was liked is because, oh, I bet that's nice being a 20-year-old female in the Pentagon. I bet I would do well too. I was like, well, screw you. I'm actually super competent too. So I think it's tough. People are going to underestimate you or overestimate you and put you in different buckets, but you just have to keep showing up. I internalize all of that, right? I'm on my own codependency journey right now. I cry in my own time. I have all that. So I'm not saying it's like not there, but you just have to take that and keep reminding yourself who you actually are. I'm competent. I got this job because I competed against other people and I got the job because I'm competent. Why am I still here? Because I'm still showing up. I'm bringing more to the table than somebody else. Don't feel like you have to work double time because then they're just getting twice the work out of you for the same pay. But work, like show up, let the haters hate.
Where'd you go from Little Red Riding Hood costume to one day you show up with pink hair?
Yeah, the pink hair was probably like a post-kids crisis where I was like, everything from me, including my hair. I will take something back and I'll put a little pink in it. My mom has to babysit, so I can't completely make my mom mad. I've teetered around like the idea of a nose ring because that fits my personality, but my mom is very anti-piercing. I knew if I got a nose ring, she would be mad at me. But for whatever reason, she's always like, hair can fade. She's always been okay with hair.
Because it can change more easily.
Yeah. So that's why I was like, I'll just do a little pink in my hair. It'll be like my punk rock. And then now the thing is, it's pink so often. If I show up to an industry event or a conference and it's not pink, people are like, what's going on? What's the deal?
Your LinkedIn profile right now has pink shoes as your banner picture too.
I also love my shoes. I love to rock a nice heel at an event. That's part of my vibe as well.
And you're comfortable?
Yeah.
I'm just crossing into like cute tennis shoes. That's what I did last time. I wore a dress with silver leather tennis shoe thing.
Last time I went to the doctor, I was like, hey, I wear heels at all these industry events. I've been wearing heels all day long. I can't feel my toes for 48 hours. Is that okay?
Please.
And she was like, it's not great. It's fine. I was like, am I doing permanent damage? Probably not. But like most people, when they can't feel their toes for 48 hours, just give it up. I was like, okay, just as long as I got a few more years, we'll see how long that lasts. Like AUSA happening now. Those major conferences where on your feet all day. I can't feel my toes for a solid couple days. Probably need to just level up, buy bigger shoes. Maybe it's feet swelling. I'm not sure.
I think there's shoes out there too that are designed to be more comfortable. You probably need to look into this.
Yeah.
So you can still have your fashion.
Yeah.
And the height.
Need a pay raise clearance job so I can pay for better shoes. Mark that down.
I did not say that clearance jobs.
Dana said it. I need a shoe sponsor. I need somebody to sponsor my shoes.
That was a great one.
I go on my shoes. You saw that on the cover photo. I was standing up for like the floor signage. I'm a sucker for branding as a marketer at heart. So I go to an event. I'm like, I can't believe it. You can sponsor the flipping floor of this place. That's brilliant. But I think clearance jobs, we were like the floor sponsor. So I took a photo of my shoes next to the floor.
There was somebody at the INSA conference whose suit and shoes were logoed.
Ooh.
I'm not going to give them a shout out because this is my podcast.
I'm not going to say which companies can sponsor my shoes, but just call me. Know it's available. It's going in the branding package for next year. I'm just saying right now.
What are the major tips for someone to get a job with a clearance?
That's a tough one because you're entering catch-22 territory, right? Do you already have a clearance? If you already have a clearance, you go to clearancejobs.com and that's the best place. If you don't have a clearance yet, that's where you have to find a company who can sponsor you for a clearance. The issue now we're getting, because all of these former feds are transitioning out, a lot of them have a public trust or a secret clearance. They're like, hey, a lot of the industry jobs require a TS clearance. So I think that's something we're going to be following over the next few years. You're living in that territory now because the NSA is brutal about this. Their clearance requirements for industry are so much even more. You can be a service member doing the same job or a govy doing the same job, and then you transition to the private sector, right? Get a TS, a CI full scope poly now. Like, what? Sure to have a full scope poly. I was doing the same job. That's why clearance reform has been a topic that we've become involved in with clearance jobs, because we can post the jobs, we can create the networking opportunities. The hidden job market is a real thing, just being out there, being present. Timing is so much of it. That's why I say, folks, like, have an active profile, always have an updated resume, always be looking, but know so much of it is timing. Then there's a lot that needs to be done from a reform perspective as well, because simply applying for the job is not always as simple as it should be. When we have changing clearance requirements, when it takes 6+ months to cross over a clearance from one IC agency to another, there's just a lot of complication in the process.
Yeah. And we need, for our building of things or running of things, we need that fresh perspective. It's great to have that balance of the people who are entrenched and have stayed at the same thing for a long time and really know it, but you also need the fresh perspective coming in and having cross-trained in different environments. The clearance process is quite something. It is quite a barrier.
It is. I always say, like, DoD clearance process, relatively straightforward. You know what you're going to get. When it comes to the intelligence community, they're just special. You have a lot of requirements when it comes to going through, and it is often a battle of attrition because of how long it takes. The more patient you can be in the process, the better. Gap employment or fill-in employment, which I needed the same thing when I graduated. Like, I had a 6-month stint between graduation and getting a job at the Department of the Army. I had to find something new for 6 months. It was not going to get in the way of me being able to work for the Army. This is pretty common now, and especially with the delays and the times we're seeing. I think we're seeing states, Maryland has been pretty proactive in this, especially with all the federal employees transitioning out. Like, hey, are there state and local government opportunities that folks can take advantage of? Opening out and seeing what is there beyond just your traditional gov contract, maybe a job that you can take for a shorter stint while you wait for that. Sometimes in the IC, it can take 18 months to get a clearance adjudicated.
Yeah. I think when you were talking about showing up for jobs or networking, I use an analogy of when people switch jobs, once they already have a clearance, they went through all the wicket and now they have that clearance. I say it's often like car shopping. So people should sniff out and have an idea of what they want. And a lot of people stick with a job depending upon where you are in your career. Sometimes you stick 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, but you're scanning and knowing what's out there, knowing what's available, knowing what company is most appealing, what contract is most appealing. And then sometimes it could be like, oh, crap, something happened to your car and now you need the job immediately. Sometimes you have the luxury of we planned it and this is where I want to transition. And sometimes, boom, something happens and you need a job ASAP. I think it's good to have that network and understanding. Plus, half the time it's free food and drink, and you get to know people and build relationships before you need or want something.
The networking piece of it is huge. And nobody wants to be sitting applying for jobs all the time. You have to do both. Even recruiters often say this. You eventually have to apply for the job. Even me, recruited off of Twitter, I eventually had to go in and apply and I think submit something to actually be considered. You will cross that point eventually. The more you can engage in different communities and be involved and have a peer network of folks that you can reach out to, because that's big. Referrals are huge in our business and industry. So attending those events is how you build that referral network and get to know people.
Is clearance jobs good if you're looking for a federal job?
Yeah, we're trying to be better, right? So call me. I'm trying to get USA Jobs to let me just have the option for you. You can literally use clearance jobs to take over USA Jobs, but every agency with direct hiring authority can use clearance jobs. So we have some innovators in government, DISA, new agencies on the table who have posted their positions on clearance jobs, because that's what we're all about. If you are government and you want the best, you should be going where people are. There's been all of these updates from OPM about reducing time to hire. And I'm like, good luck. Unless you fix the clearance process, you can't get a 90-day time to hire if you're looking to sponsor a clearance. If you have in-demand cyber jobs, DoD Cyber Command right now, who knows by the time this podcast is announced, where will we at with all that? They have direct hiring authority. They have a need. I see these jobs being posted right now even. We do have some of them at clearance jobs. I would love to have all of them. So if there's a government agency out there, please let me know. Let's put them on clearance jobs.
It's similar advice I give people who have their own business where, yeah, you want to work on your website. Your website should be decent. But today, all eyeballs start on LinkedIn. They get to know who you are, and then they might go to your website. But people aren't hunting and finding your website first. They're finding you on LinkedIn and then transitioning. And there's a lot of lurkers. That's what I like to say. The lurker community is strong.
Yeah. They're using ChatGPT or AI, or it used to be, I would say, like Google your company and see what comes up. Like, where are people going to find you? And it might not be what you expect. There's a lot of these company names, like your company name's not going to draw people. We have the top 10 in government contracting, but I have to remind a lot of young people that too, right? They graduate, they have in-demand skills, they want to work for big tech. Big tech is awesome, but they might not be the best opportunity for you. They might not have the best career. They might not even have the coolest work when it comes to job mission and function. Look outside of the aperture of what you might have thought, especially if you think the road to a great tech career is only through a company that you read about in the news.
Yeah, a lot of small businesses have the ability to either pay more or give more attention or investment, and sometimes more variety in the type of work that you can do. Let's talk about money. Where's the best place to find salaries and how to negotiate what salary you should ask for?
Perfect timing, because we're running our clearance jobs compensation survey right now. So if you have a security clearance, you can go to clearance jobs. We're probably going to harass you with a pop-up within 10 seconds and ask you to take the survey. If you take the survey, you'll be one of the first to get the compensation report when it comes out. We break it down by industry, clearance level, all of that. I hear from a lot of companies that they use that too, because as government contractors, they have to figure out what their bill rates are going to be and all of that. You want to have salary data, like what is the average salary for some of these niche markets out there. Clearance jobs definitely a good place. I hate salary transparency. I see them on all the job listings.
In Maryland, you have to have the salary transparency.
Yeah. For me, it just creates these huge ranges, right? It's like the job range is like $75,000. Yeah. That really tells me a lot. So I would like to say you could find out by job listings, right? Like search job listings and see. But I think salary transparency has actually made that harder because people are trying to fill too many diverse bucket ranges.
On our website, we don't post, we're a sub on so many different contracts and you have different jobs. So our job openings are often generic We don't have the time and energy for each contract as the specific job changes to update that. We did look into, maybe this is a great product version for Agile ATS, which Nyla does use. We spent a summer trying to determine how to best auto ingest all of the different job openings on all of our contracts so that we had a fresh feed of all of the jobs. It was a lot of work. We actually started with using like a data model because we get our jobs via portal, email. Sometimes it's in the body of the email. Sometimes it's an Excel file. Rarely it's like a text message. Sometimes there is a WhisperNet too of jobs that are opening. And we needed to have a fresh set of jobs. And we even looked into switching it to using a language model and doing it in AI versus a more data object oriented approach. But there you go. Lindy just gave you a super valuable.
Right.
I think that would shoot Agile through the roof because so many businesses like me have so many jobs coming in and you can't keep up. That's why it's also vague on our website. And we've got a lot of jobs we try to be as specific as possible, but it's just not worth the energy. We're looking for a software engineer, and then we don't know from a timing perspective what exact function or can't describe the job in extreme detail. But people also want to see fresh jobs. We also had that challenge of we want to update and have a fresh job because people want to see, oh, did they get a new location? Is there a different tech stack that they're looking at? Maybe it's a different customer. I think a lot of the companies have semi-generic jobs, especially when they're not the prime.
Yeah. Yeah. It's rough.
When you talk to so many people, what great career advice do you have for people in the clearance space and working? What seems to be a story of people being very successful professionally?
Tenacity. 100% tenacity. You can't be quick to give up. The government contracting cycle, it is a cycle. And the government is the same way. We're seeing that now, right? I know so many people who had internship or career opportunity plans, the federal government, and they're like suddenly seeing that rescinded or put on hold. It's not that the door is closed to you. It's been closed a little bit. You're going to be able to hop in the window at some point, but it is, do you want to stick with it and come back to it? And I go back and forth. Sometimes we make the process harder than it needs to be. And that makes me sad, right? The change agent in me is like, we could do so many simple things to make the clearance process better. Reciprocity, an easy one. If you're cleared to the CIA, you should be able to transition into NSA without 18 months and a new polygraph. Let's make this easier. There are some parts of it that are just the cycle of government. Like I get for government contractors, you have the labor category requirements for the position. It is timing. You might have somebody you want to hire. You can't do it today. You can 6 months down the road. So some things are process, some things are policy, some things are just the government doing things stupid. I want to eliminate the government doing things stupid. You just have to keep showing up and you have to apply and you have to get out there. Be willing to accept not your first opportunity. I joke with clearance jobs. I gave them like maybe 6 months. I thought it was like not going to last. And look at me now, 14 years later. But I was very much like, hey, sure. The job description I had was editor. I'd done public affairs for the Army. I'm not saying like my job title was great, but I was a public affairs officer. I had a PAO. I had an acronym. Felt like I had some authority. I was going to be an editor, and I was an editor for 8 years, which is advice I tell everybody now. You hear that now, don't stay at the same job title. I feel like I'm always talking to the young people, but it's also anybody. It's people transitioning out of government who've been there for 20 years now. Sometimes they're chasing a title. I've got to be a director or a VP or a something.
I was CEO and people would be like, oh my God, you're CEO. And I'm CEO of myself right now. I'm CEO of 5 people. It's not the same as being CEO of General Dynamics or SAIC. That's a very different title. And you have to look at what's under the covers. And also, is it a good match for you? Because the match of the job just matters so much in your quality and how you show up and perform.
Be willing to, like, again, take something unexpected, be tenacious, and don't always chase the job title or the salary or the whatever. Develop your list. And sometimes salary is what you need, right? You got a mortgage, you got a family. Sometimes you're chasing that. And I'm like, I can't knock that. Sometimes it is about mission opportunity. Flexibility is big for me. For most of my career, the number one thing I needed was flexibility and autonomy. So I was willing to stay in a job with the same job title and a job title I actually just like never functionally really liked. It's not what I resonated with what I wanted to be doing or what I thought I was doing. But I've given this talk before, build the job that you think you should be doing. Either your current employer will recognize that, or that's when you know you can pivot and find your next one.
At our company, we created Nyla Flex, and we offer 3 different things. You can have more time off. Some people really want to double down on the pay because maybe there's something that they're paying off or working to, and they want the additional hours and the ability to earn as much as possible. And then the other one is some people just want to work less per week. So it's not necessarily time off of, oh, I need a block here, but they want to work 32 hours versus 40 hours. And they want that flexibility. Some contracts allow that, some don't. And everybody's got different needs at different phases in their life. Not everybody needs the same thing at the same time. Before I go, what is one thing about yourself that would surprise others?
I think I'm an open book. So I think this is like bad. I already revealed my hand.
But for those of us that don't know you,
mother of 4 living in Nebraska. I know the big one is I live in Omaha, Nebraska. People assume I live in Washington, D.C. Again, I've loved my mistress so well. She seems like she's number one. That's the big one. I also say that too, because the national security work is at work across the country, across the globe. We know that, but I think people don't always realize off at Air Force Base, right here in your own Omaha, Nebraska, putting people to work. If you want to pursue national security, there are careers across the country. So that would be my shout out for that. And yeah, the unexpected one. Look at me sitting here in my PJs in Omaha, hustling for clearance jobs.
If we take the flight from Reagan to Omaha, what's the one thing we should absolutely see or eat when we're in Omaha?
Omaha is fantastic. Everybody should come here. Warren Buffett lives here, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
It literally is the nation's best zoo. So I will do a shout out for this. Yeah, the number 1 rated zoo, better than San Diego. Eat it, San Diego. Omaha is better.
Springs has a great one too in Cheyenne Mountain.
I've been to the one in Cheyenne. I've been to the Colorado Springs one. No, Omaha is better. Hands down, the best zoo.
What's the best thing to eat in Omaha?
Steak. You can go to Denny's and get a better steak here than you probably can in DC. I've got to go here some point. We have really good sushi too. So I go to Blue Sushi because it's in my pay grade. There was a Washington Post article that Yoshimoto might be the best sushi restaurant in America. I've never been because it's like $100 a plate, and I can only afford to eat like that if I'm traveling for work, and clearance jobs pays for it. I've not found an excuse for them to expend. Please fly to Omaha, some client of clearance jobs, and I will take you, Shayna Yoshimoto here. Uncle Art, CEO of Clearance Jobs, will pay for it then, and then we'll be set. But for now, on my own time, I've never eaten there.
Crapcom near Omaha too?
It is.
All right.
Yeah.
Customer that Nyla needs to support. You guys got some data issues? We're your people.
We'll all go to Yoshimoto together.
I love it. Thank you so much for spending an hour with me. I really appreciate it. It was so fun to really talk to you and get to know you. I know when we're at a conference, you have a lot of people around you.
I always enjoy seeing you at conferences. A shout out to the hustlers getting it done there. So I always appreciate what you were doing, and Nyla's going places for sure.
Thank you so much. And congratulations on your book. That's huge. That's really huge. Awesome. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to today's podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard, please share it with friends and family. If you'd like to follow us on social media, you can find us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook under the Outspoken Podcast. Thanks again, and until next time.
All I can think is Lisa Simpson going to DC. Have you not seen that episode?
I think, yes, I have.
And Hudson's out at the IRS and yells, boo.